Commuter Transport Data Hub Initiative presentation, which is on social networks. Transportation has a role to play in the speed of recovery, and data drives decision making in the circumstances of limited resources. This event has been organized by the Ministry for Development of Communities and Territories of Ukraine with the support of the Digitalisation for Growth, Integrity and Transparency, the Transport Data Hub, and the survey of the economic effects of transport reforms will be presented today. We'll discuss how data drive transport decisions for the future. Before we open this presentation and usher in the panel discussion, I would like to join me in the moment of silence. Thank you. May I also remind you that in case of an air raid alert, we will either move to the shelter if there is such need. We will certainly be instructed as to where we have to proceed. Now, without further ado, let me invite Sergei Derekach, Deputy Minister for the Development and Community. Our event is taking place in 2 working languages, so if you really need interpretation, please use the headsets. You can hear me, I understand. I am very happy to be with you today to present the Transport Data Hub. In the Ministry, we've been devotedly working towards this day. We monitor the situation on a daily basis, and we understand that you can't successfully do that without quality data. Hence the question, what kind of data do we have? What data can we use to advance reforms? So it is my pleasure to present Transport Data Hub today, showcase our achievements. The concept, however, is very simple, or transport-related data, and we'll also present you with some findings regarding the economic gains from the reform in bus transportation. Marichka was right. It's not only about economy or quality transit. It's also about helping our citizens be mobile both inside and outside the country. So I hope that every one of you is likely to find something of utility for them, and I hope that you will also provide us with your feedback. In summary, I would like to say that this also is an element of transparency and counter corruption measures. I will now not jump to the presentation. It is forthcoming. I would also like to say that this is just the beginning. Transport Data Hub will one day contain all relevant data: rail, sea, aviation, bus routes, cargo freight, etc. And everyone will be entitled to access this data. I think that this is going to be one of the best resources available. And Euro integration, last but not least, according to the EU directives and regulations, Ukraine is required to promote and maintain data exchange in the formats compatible with the EU practices. We are refining our legislation, but we have been lagging behind making our data compatible with the data of the European Union, so as to support real-time exchange of this data. And this is yet another objective that Transport Data Hub is expected to help us achieve. So once again, we'll be looking forward to your feedback on the Transport Data Hub functionality and operation. Thank you, Sergei. These have been your introductory remarks, and the presentation is coming shortly. We heard about partners without whom this project wouldn't have been possible. Therefore, may I invite Jasmine Byrne from U.S. Embassy to take the floor. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the invitation to be here today and speak to you. I'm really pleased to be here with our partners from the Ministry of Development of Communities and Territories of Ukraine, representatives of central and local government, transport operators, business associations, and international organizations. Despite the ongoing war, Ukraine is not only defending its sovereignty, it is continuing to modernize the state and invest in transparency, technology, and data-driven public services. The commitment demonstrates to the world that even under extraordinary pressure, Ukraine is building resilient institutions and strong foundations for sustainable recovery. Russia's full-scale invasion has resulted in profound human suffering, widespread destruction of infrastructure, and large-scale displacement. It has also significantly disrupted Ukraine's transport system, with air travel suspended and seaports blocked. The burden on land routes has increased sharply. In this context, border crossing points are critical corridors for moving people, humanitarian aid, and essential goods. This surge exposed how vital coordinated, transparent, and efficient border management is for keeping transport flows stable and responsive in time of crisis. The economic impact is clear. Delays at the border disrupt supply chains, increase logistic costs, and limit the ability of Ukrainian businesses to compete, turning efficient border operations into a key driver of economic resilience. Predictable transport flows and reliable border processes are fundamental for the safe movement of people and the uninterrupted flow of exports. The UK government is proud to support Ukraine's transport reforms through long-term cooperation with the Ministries for Development of Communities and Territories of Ukraine. Since 2021, through 3 technical assistance programs, Transparency and Accountability in Public Administration and Services, or TAFAS, the digital transformation activity, known as DTA, and now through Digitalisation for Growth, Integrity and Transparency, or UK Digit. We have worked closely with Ukrainian partners to initiate, develop and scale EQ, a system that has fundamentally transformed border crossing procedures. Today, EQ operates at 29 international border crossing points, having facilitated over 2.6 million vehicles, which includes nearly 321,000 buses. This marks a significant improvement in transparency, fairness, and efficiency for Ukraine's border operations. Data is fundamental to transport modelling, enabling the identification of mobility patterns and establishment of new routes and strategic infrastructure improvements. Data-driven governance is the cornerstone of a modern, resilient transport system. This brings us to today's important milestone. The Transport Data Hub is a powerful initiative that consolidates key data sets on mobility and transport flows. It will provide government institutions, municipalities, and businesses with structured analytics to help them plan routes, to forecast demand, to assess mobility needs, and to enhance public transport services. Crucially, transport analytics also create measurable economic value. The Transport Data Hub will help eliminate inefficient or duplicate routes, reduce illegal transportation, open profitable new routes, and guide smarter infrastructure investments. This means faster, smarter decisions on route networks and infrastructure investments, leading to higher budget revenues, better services for citizens, and far more efficient use of public transports and public resources. By putting reliable data into the hands of decision makers, Ukraine strengthens transparency, mitigates corruption risks, and ensures that decisions are based on evidence, not on assumptions. This initiative is part of a broader UK commitment to support Ukraine in building open, resilient, and efficient public institutions. Through UK Digit, we continue to work with our Ukrainian partners to introduce digital tools that strengthen economic governance. The UK government remains committed to supporting anti-corruption reforms, technology, and digitalisation in Ukraine. Thank you for joining us today to celebrate the progress we are making together on such an important agenda.
Дуже дякую, Жасмін. Але зараз, власне, ключова подія, на яку ми
Thank you, Jasmine. Now I will once again invite Serhiy Derekach for the presentation of the Transport Data Hub. And during our panel discussion, we'll be able to discuss this presentation in greater depth. As our support team is preparing for this presentation, I'll give you a short background. When I joined the ministry, I was put in charge of several areas, and one of the first questions I entertained was the situation in different areas. If it's bus transportation, I wanted to know how many routes there existed in Ukraine. It was a difficult question. Darina will confirm. Plus, we wanted to know how many of those routes are operational. Actually, you can ask these questions discussing different means of transportation. I just started to tell you about international bus routes. There existed a few, but not many, because before the invasion, people preferred aviation in 21. Today, then passenger traffic has increased in favor of the bus routes because the air service was suspended for the period of war, and we see that rail, yes, it is of adequate quality, but the resource of Ukrzaliznytsia is limited, and it can carry more than 2 million passengers annually. 90% of people live in Ukraine use highways, vehicles, minivans and buses, and we indeed registered that the volume of passenger traffic on highways has increased with the beginning of the full-scale invasion. So we can all recall the queues standing at the border crossing points, and of course in order to promote to improve the situation, we needed to know for sure where people headed for Poland, Hungary, and then what happens to them then, whether they stay in these countries or keep moving. We didn't have this data. Plus border cross point workload, yet another challenges for Ukraine. Our border crossing points on land hadn't been designed to carry that weight. So we understood eventually that without the quality data we wouldn't move too far, so started with digitalizing all business processes from competitive selection to creation of routes. Then we wanted to see how we can create a unified system that would be convenient for all the users. We eventually understood that data is which is forever and part of the resource. So what kind of issues are we trying to address? Bus, first and foremost, however. Transport Data Hub is a unified resource, but today we'll be primarily talking about products related to international bus traffic, bus transportation. So key issue here is that we need to understand what kind of issues we have stemming from the data we process rather than comments made by users. Bus routes, well, they are far from being balanced. There is a lot of duplication. There are many, so to speak, routes that do not operate in reality, while this exists on paper. So when we then wanted to identify the goal of our resource, we identified three key stakeholders: our citizens, government, and businesses. Of course, the government is interested first and most to initiate and implement a reform that would be beneficial for all the players. The government will also be happy to see that its transportation market is growing, because it means more jobs, more budget revenues. Businesses, yes, for them it's a new instrument to support projections and forecasting. Businesses will be able to see where people typically travel and where the need is high. Our aside from that, it's about transparency and integrity. Business entities understand that all information, when it's public, will make it impossible to strike shady deals, pay bribes, and have their matters resolved. And citizens, clearly, they'll be able to access more information. You know, a passenger would like to buy themselves a ticket, board a bus, and board the train and go where they want to. So when we go online trying to buy a bus ticket, you'll probably be able to see 50 different links on the internet, and you won't know whether all of these sites provide accurate information, whether the service providers are to be trusted or not. So a year ago we created autobus.gov.ua that provided info on non-legal bus routes, and we will certainly popularize this resource so that passengers have no problems with booking tickets with legal carriers.
Why it's so important? And when it comes to today's event, first of all, we performed a huge homework. Of course, we didn't show this work, but it's about a great methodology regarding the data regarding the transport. And you can't even imagine how difficult it was, because in fact, we made methodologically how to recollect all the data, in which format this data are recollected, and how to extrapolate this data on all the territory of Ukraine in order to generate the data. It's about special formulas and special expertise of the people working on it, and it's about the result and figures you're gonna see today, and it's about a huge job you couldn't see behind the curtain, but still it was a job that was different. It's what you are gonna see, what we presented. It's about two dashboards. The first dashboard is about the dashboard of autobus journeys, and you're gonna see all the routes we have. And today we are gonna talk about several results of the research, and in the transport hub we're gonna talk about the new researches we performed, and we are gonna see not only the analysis built on the quantitative data, but on the quality data too, and about the results. And when we saw why the country needs the quality data and how it helps in our research, we're gonna show the economic effect we received after a few years as a country, and the dashboard of mobility abroad. This is the first product I'm gonna show you. It's gonna be very interested in the presentation. I'm not gonna show the figures because you all are gonna have the opportunity to see it on the page of Ministry of Transport and Transport Infrastructures. When seeing the transport hub information, you're gonna see all the data. And as for today, what we did, first of all, we recollected the data of mobile operators. We aggregated all the data, and we have the data about the transmission, about the formula. in the period of 2021 and 2024. So more or less, we have pretty much detailed data. Of course, these are generated data not according to any single person, but in total, how many citizens, which are the crossing points, which are the countries they crossed. Why it's so important? Because, of course, this dashboard, I'm sure that it's gonna be used by the logistic operators, and it's gonna be used not only by the people involved in transport infrastructure. Of course, it's gonna be interesting for the foreign ministry and for Europe and the country. And also, this dashboard is gonna be very important to our local government because it shows us why it's so important. You see on the slide that you may planify your journeys, thinking about the time and the double tracks. Of course, it's about the demand, and you're gonna see a great diaspora living, for instance, in Czech Republic, for instance, in Karlovy Vary city, with no direct connection. That's why they changed the transport crossing Hungary or Poland. So it's very interesting that many citizens realize this logistic service, and of course you're gonna have the opportunity to open such a possibility in terms of logistics. And as I said, the analysis of mobility of citizens can be very exact and precise when it comes to citizens and the country they cross. It's also very important to see it in terms of transportations, and of course the transport policy is truly important to us, because to us and to the minister it's truly important to understand, because we still have many questions and problems, issues in terms of number of the people who cannot leave the country due to different reasons and come back. So our key task is to think about the economy. This is a great task, and our task is make all the citizens come back to Ukraine, and the more and the better for the people come back again. So they are gonna come back more often. Of course, considering all the elements of the situation. Here you can see the dashboard. It's about the interactive map with certain figures regarding the years and the countries. There's gonna be modified data, and of course we're gonna see that the situation will be modified here, of course, because the situation regarding our citizens is a little bit different. And let me say that this is approximate board. If we amplify it somehow, we're gonna see that we have many citizens who make trip from Australia and India to other country, for instance. Many people from Ivano-Frankivsk region leave the country and went to Australia, for instance. But still, in this map, you may choose the countries and the years and see. And also, in terms of the quantity of the journeys, it's pretty much approximated, but also very exact. So it's pretty much a quantitative statistic data, and we may see, for instance, Czech Republic or Poland or Germany, and see that it's pretty much a good product we may use in the future in order to receive the quality data. And moreover, we may see not only in which country our people go, we may see the capacity of all the crossing points, and truly important to us, to the country, because we work in order to improve our crossing point, because as per today we have 41 crossing point for cars, and de facto we have the bus, and all of these structures are optimized, and later we're gonna talk about them in a detailed way. And of course, we verify the data, thinking about the quantity of passengers. So we're gonna have a more exact image, and it's really important to see the capacity of the crossing points, not only for the logistic operators but also for the people planning their journeys, limiting the number of the slots due to the capacity of the crossing points. But still, we work on it. And soon we're gonna inaugurate a big crossing point of the Transcarpathia region for Romania, and it's gonna give us an opportunity to create a new logistic hub due to this crossing point. What we may find, in fact, thanks to this dashboard, of course, it's about the map of internal transportation, because as I said, it's really important. Another transmission, because we may see when it comes to border, we may choose some months and the number of passengers. It's very important to local governments to understand how many people leave the country and come, from which region, how these people move, and it's a huge question for local governments to think about the work and the creating of new bus stops, and in order to give the opportunity to make good safe trips and work with logistic operator. The product number 2 we're gonna show today is another thing. And coming back to this image, let me say that when we ask other countries in the major part of this country, you're not gonna see such information. And let me say, it adds us certain additional values because we are an open country and we create our own logistic products, and it seems to me that we're gonna help our neighboring countries to create very good analytic instruments and tools, and we are gonna be ahead in terms of transportation data. And another product is dashboard of international transportation, cargo transportation. And today we have more than 1,000 international trucks functioning today in Ukraine. This thousand of trucks gives 10 million transportations per year. It's about huge number of citizens. In fact, it's 5 times bigger turnover in comparison with the railways, and it says us that it's really important to our analysis, because as a country it's really important to us to make such a way to let our people choose the bus, public transport or railways, and not choose the car, because the cars create disadvantages for the truck. Because if you had any trip abroad, you've seen this trucks being overcharged, and it's really important to us to think about the capacity and make it grow thanks to the buses, because in a bus we may transport some 60 or 70 people. Still, if you use the car, you may imagine how many cars do we need for 60 or 70 people. We had banal situations about dozens and dozens of cars And in fact, we could need only one bus, and our reform was about the comfortable and very precise transportations without creating any inconvenient situations on the track. And when it comes to the dashboard of international transportation, it's also very interesting. We are gonna see some interactive materials, and the dashboard has several pages, so you're gonna work with them. And still, we have the number of logistic operators and uh, people who conduct this activity. We have the number of the country, and we have 218 cities with these international transportations. And in fact, we constantly say how many journeys were conducted, and 279 journeys are performed. So some 30%, let's say, are conducted, and we're gonna work in order to raise this quantity, make it constant. And also you may see in each country on the map where from which region this people come. What we have in this dashboard, the first thing, we have the autobus journey transportation map and car stations. You may choose it because in some cities we have several car stations, and you may see the number of buses and cars in certain station. We may see the structure with all the maps and all the points. You may see how much are the trucks charged, and also the journeys and transportations registered. And also we have the visualizations of the movements, and we may see how much our trucks are charged. And when it comes to the country of the destination, we may choose a country and see which logistic operators have certain number of transportations. You may choose a concrete operator and see how many services and which are the concrete countries. These data are open, and I think that this is pretty much a cool tool, and we may see the information regarding our journey and think how to be concurrent in a good sense of the word, and how to be partners of other companies, because we see in other countries how several companies are cooperating now about certain journeys a certain company has, in order not to create a duplicate. They create this kind of collaboration with other operators, and in order to avoid double transportations. So it seems like it's pretty much an interesting information for logistic operators. And also what we can see is pretty much a cool thing. We may see and or make a filter according to year and month, and even the region and district, which are the points a certain bus crosses. And also we may see all the points on the map in the country of destination. And it's pretty much a good story for the local government. It's really important because the local government authorities know which are the tracks the buses cross. And we had the cases when the local operators call the local self-governments, because, for instance, some local authorities don't want to see big cargo transport, and some actually help in order to create better conditions. And also we may see which territorial communities are crossed by certain trucks and buses, and probably it will facilitate a good cooperation and collaboration between the local government and the transportations and better work on car stations and bus stations in order to make it convenient for the operators and the users, citizens. And you see also the country of destination, how many transportation we have to Germany. For instance, these are the real indicators. In terms of Germany, we have 58 transportation lines, and which are the cities in Germany, the concrete city, and we may see which are the buses coming to this city. And we see that in certain countries we don't have any journeys, because still, if we compare this map with the journeys and the quantity of people crossing, for instance, this line and this point, we may see that a huge quantity of people visit a certain region of Germany where we don't have any direct connections, and it's pretty much a good case for the businesses to analyze these cases, to see the demand in order to open such an international line. And I call you to use this QR code and see this dashboard in order to have this data. And also I think that we may work together, and you don't need any special super device. You may see that you may work on it from the telephone or computer. So this is the first thing. And another thing, I think that as per today, well, we're gonna show how our map works in certain interactive format. Well, we opened the website page, and in fact, you don't need to do anything. For instance, we may choose a certain country and analyze it. Well, let's choose a certain country and see which data we have. Well, which options. Well, Lithuania, perfect. Let's choose the Lithuania. And so, in terms of Lithuania, we have 8 journeys. We have 19 logistic operators. And it's not only about Ukrainian logistic operators, because according to huge number of the treaties and agreements we have with other countries, we have a duty to create certain journeys with certain partner. So in the majority of countries, some countries need a partner. So the number of our partners is quite bigger, double. Here we have the operators, both Ukrainian and foreign, who operate with these 8 lines of transportations. We have 3 points of destination, and we see Klaipėda city, Vilnius, and Utena. So this about these 3 cities from where we come to Ukraine, and we see the regions these buses cross in order to come to Lithuania. So we may choose a certain very concrete journey and see how it works, and also choose journey and see how is it. So, for instance, the journey from Odessa to Klaipėda, we may see the points the bus crosses in order to come, and so on. So it seems to me that it's pretty much a killer instrument. So this data, to be honest, when we think about our international partners, I ask our colleagues from other European countries if you have any kind of this information. I'm sure that they don't have such information. And according to results provided by European Commissions, in Europe, in European Union, they have nothing similar. They have official data that they don't have an official register. So we surely are gonna be pretty much a good example of how we may work on this data, or how to open, and which results it may give. And number 2, we may see in terms of every journey more and more data and information, even how many times a certain journey was conducted, even see your partners and rivals, and see the number of journeys performed. Because as per today, considering the limited time, the more journeys we have, the more we want to develop. And so we need to see which are the buses, when they were manufactured according to the years. And here you may see that all the information regarding a concrete journey, who performed this journey from these 8 or logistic operators. You may see it perfectly well. So when it comes to the transport, which are the years of the manufacturing of this autobus, well, you may see some old transports. It's not very good. Well, and as a country, we should analyze the data in order to see the quality data for our citizens, and also we may choose any city. For instance, let's choose Zhytomyr. That's my little homeland. Well, let's come here. Well, when it comes to international journeys, please. Well, we may choose any city of Ukraine, and in fact, you may see all the journeys and lines of destination, all the lines crossing the city of Zhytomyr and go to Europe. Not only Europe, you see a journey for Turkey, all the lines and tracks with the detailed information, very precise. And of course, you may choose a concrete journey. Let's see. Well, Zaporizhia, for instance, when it goes to Czech Republic, crossing Zhytomyr, and we may see it. So this is a concrete journey with all the stops and the full information about the timetables, all the data regarding the destination and the time. And also, as I said, when it comes to the logistic operators, we may see the autobuses and the logistic operators. All the data, it's very open and transparent. Well, colleagues, which are other suggestions? What do you want to see? If you have any suggestions, opinions, what we're gonna see? Or Ukrbazpeka know it everything? Good afternoon. I wanted to ask, in terms of data and performance, data designated, from where we take the data and how does data correlate with actual situation? Well, pretty much a good question. Today we have several data we here collect. The first thing is that we have, of course, the verification with the official register, the people who leave the country. The system can calculate the mobility of the citizens, and when it comes to time, we may see the concrete journey. And of course, our key statistic you see is the statistic of the electronic line of people. And the only question is that, unfortunately, some of the logistic operator do not indicate the documentation regarding a certain regular or irregular journey. Of course, the statistic figures can be exact or not exact, but still the system should show the information from electronic database, and of course the data which are not exact. It's about the reduced quantity of performance, so this operator should lose the transformation. So it's very important. This percentage matters.
In addition, we will impose info on EQ on the map. It's not yet functional, but once it is, we'll see info on the specific trip and the number of passengers on board. Currently, we are only operating with the average numbers. However, if we now look at info originating in EQ, we started working with the State Border Guard Service about 3 months ago, and the State Border Guard Service supplied the info on number of passengers aboard buses. You will yourself recall how it happens. Whenever you want to cross the border, the border guard will ask you about the number of passengers on board. And the border guard service will eventually provide accurate passenger lists, which is important for the carriers. There may be a lot of trips, but few passengers, and vice versa. There may be fewer trips, however, more passengers, the density, so to speak, higher. So that's it with regard to this dashboard, and I think that we can now move forward. How can we go back? In the meantime, let me say I'd be extremely happy if all of you carrier companies, international partners, representatives of the expert and civil society community to work with these dashboards and give us some feedback. It's the first maiden trip of this product, but we will be happy to improve them and make them even cooler. So last but not least is our survey of the economic gains stemming from this development. We'll hear how our market of bus transportation is changing, growing. We could also see that Ukrainian companies tend to buy more buses in order to use them in Ukraine. Plus, it generates additional budget revenues. Over and above newer buses is better quality of transportation. So, as far as the government program is concerned, we can see a lot of adjacent markets that also develop because of this development. Say certification and checkups, more vehicles, more checkups, and the providers can therefore plan for some expansion. Insurance market, insurance industry, and fuel. More buses, more fuel consumption, and in turn that's more taxes and social and economic effects. We calculated how many jobs have been created by companies. You know that every bus is at least one, or better still two drivers, Plus, companies also increase other jobs, not just those of drivers. And the findings are very promising. The market of bus transportation contributed significantly to the economic development of the state. So when we, as the ministry, advocate reforms in our communication with the members of the parliament and others, we are equipped with a very compelling argument. Look at the figures yourselves. In the report you'll find even more figures, 200% growth and the number of routes, and that's part of the reform. You will see that the number of routes is growing not just because of the demand, but because we digitalized the creation of routes. You can have Kiev-Prague route created in a couple of months, because earlier on it would take years, and this 200 growth in the number of routes is a result of our reform. You can see for yourself how much we gained in payments, more buses, more passengers, more income generated through sale of tickets. With this, I'll probably stop talking about our products. We haven't shown everything we could have shown. We wanted to be brief, to give you something you can already start working with. But I'll say that we are planning to do a dashboard of passenger traffic across the country that would include not just international traffic, but national, all the way to the regions, which will be important for local governments. In addition, we're working with our colleagues from the Ukrzaliznytsia, Ukrainian Rail, in order to create a unified map showing both bus routes and rail routes. I think that this will be a positive development, because some bus routes don't link well with rail routes, and you'll be able to make sure that buses connect well with the rail routes. There are some issues, pending issues, that we'll probably be able to address successfully. Plus, we are planning to do a whole market dashboard. This will refer to the shadow market. Unfortunately, it's still in existence. We will try and see how we can disable all shadow carriers, so to speak. Plus, we'll create the dashboard of failures and traffic accidents in order to be able to identify routes where accidents tend to happen, so that the companies can plan bypasses or provide additional guidance to the drivers for them to be able to navigate safely. Plus, I've already mentioned about local governments. We are planning to develop an e-learning platform that would help bodies of local government work effectively with these dashboards, where every button matters for planning, for policy making at the regional level, so that transportation in Ukraine attains higher quality and anyone can go from point A to point B in the most convenient manner and also safe manner where conditions of travel are adequately high. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your attendance and I value your attention to my presentation. I know that only your feedback will provide us with important inputs to be able to improve this platform and to promote reforms of relevance. Thank you very much for your assistance, for staying with us now and in the future. Thank you, Serhiy. I hope you won't mind my asking you to stay where you are. There are a couple of questions that you may want to address. You called it product. Is it free for all? Because we know that data costs a lot. Good question. Thank you, Marichka. And let me once again express my gratitude to our partners, our UK Digit friends, of course, mobile operators sell data. Commercial data typically go at a price. We had to buy them, but now we are very happy to be able to use this data for the benefit of the government, and even more importantly, we can disseminate this data free to user. The data are protected, and make no mistake about that, and whatever we're doing, we do it for the purpose of providing freer access to users. Well, I should also mention that there's a considerable pool of experts that have been working with us, and I'll say thank you to all of them without mentioning everyone in particular. You said accessible to all of you. Anyone? Yes, you can do that. Could I ask you to show how you log in or visit the site? First of all, data is protected, then data is depersonalized. So if anyone wanted to manipulate with the data, this dashboard can help us debunk manipulations, because you can visit it and see if the information published anywhere is correct and unreliable. Dashboards will make it impossible to use this data in bad faith. So you visit our ministry's website, activity, and down below there's a link to Transport Data Hub. You click this button and taking to this dark mode type of presentation, where you can select appropriate dashboards. Then you click on the dashboard you want to use and have access to all the information I was talking about: country, year, type, destination, origin, anything you wanted to ask a question. Hello, thank you very much for a very informative presentation. Indeed, it's a cool product and tool. So I've got a couple of questions. You mentioned that dashboards will also have Ukrainian rail and anything else to go with everything. We're planning to incorporate everything, all things transport. We have data on bus routes, that's second dashboard. We have all rail routes so that carriers can have a look at all the voyages and routes done to improve, for instance, connections or deduplicate certain routes. We'll also be able to illustrate passenger traffic. Yeah, I know that some data is confidential. Ukrzaliznytsia is a commercial operator after all, but as far as the routes and the passenger traffic is concerned, this will surely be made accessible. And speaking particularly of passenger transit, unfortunately the situation isn't good. Our sea corridors aren't working properly. Before that we had ferries going to Georgia, Turkey, Romania. Not today, unfortunately, but as soon as sea transportation is open, let alone the skies, we will certainly include information on airline service. Basically, we want to have all passenger traffic traceable using this dashboard, internationally and nationally, domestically, so to speak. Movement of citizens. Yes, we can see how passengers get from Kiev to Zhytomyr. There is no direct service, but we'll be able to see how many people, for instance, travel between Kiev and Zhytomyr using highway transportation. Why do they do that? Not convenient to use buses, or they commute, they drop their cars as they enter the city and then change for public transit. It's key objective for the entire Europe to increase workload on public transit in order to cut down on the use of private vehicles. Thank you. And probably my last question regarding integration and what would it take to improve our data exchange with other countries?
Well, it's pretty much a good question. Well, I'm gonna be very brief in this point. Well, let me say that in European Union, in terms of data, there are hundred of different data sets, and still we do not meet all of these requirements. But still, we have our own systems, and we have the data in order to the operators. Well, Europe says. Let us have the information in terms of our data, and all the data are in the same system, and still we have a similar data with other requirements and algorithms. That's why it's pretty much a huge amount of job, and it's pretty much a good question. And we create not only the dashboard, we create them according to the principles of the European Union, but still in the European Union there are sets of hundreds of data sets, and still the things they don't have. So we're gonna propose certain instruments they don't have. And the third thing is for today the self-government do not have and are pretty poor in terms of data. First of all, they have no real capacity and or people who can work on data analysis, and with public systems, and they gonna use the systems. And let me say that's a resource regarding the transportation. It's it regards international structures, but still they have also internal information regarding the bus transportation and the car transportation. Thank you, Sergey. Another question. Oh, well, Укрзалізниця. Oh, well, in Data Hub there are two parts missing. First of all, in terms of citizens and the demand satisfied, because we do not understand how many transports are missing when it comes to the transportation. It's very important. Well, it's pretty much a cool remark. Well, according to the seasons, we may calculate it automatically and see it according to the months and years. Probably not in the context you want, but still, a certain part of season requirements you may see. For instance, when it comes to Bulgaria, for instance, it's about summer. When it comes to Austria, it's about another thing, and it's very important to understand, because still when we see the map of Europe with millions of cities and cities, when it comes to concrete thing for business, it's about the demand, when it's satisfied or it's not. Or when it comes to certain new thing, I'm not sure if we may do it immediately, and everyone may evaluate it in his or her own mode. But still, I think that your comment is important, because we work on data, so we're gonna talk about it. So thank you so much. Thank you. You may talk during the coffee break, and now we're gonna talk about the practical use of this data. And let me invite all of the participants of our panel discussion. Andrei Bratus, Deputy Minister for Digitalisation, Nadia Khoroshchuk, who works on digital transformation and innovation and transparency of UK Digit, Valery Kulachenko, Deputy Head of Ukrtransbezpeka, Alexander Ryzhy, and the Head of Transport Unit of City Council, and Lavarila Novikov, MasterCard Commercial Development Director. Well, dear friends, please take your microphones in order to let us work actively during this panel discussion. Let's start the brief discussion. We've seen that presentation. Probably you know more about Transport Data Hub and which are the practical aspects of use of this data in case of state. And please give your responses. Please, let's start by you. Well, I'll add the cities, more deeper analytics in terms of the cities, because it's a good dashboard. Of course, it's pretty much needed and of course we are ahead in terms of what we create, but still, it's not a very frequent thing to cross regions, and 98% of our journeys are in the cities, so it's necessary to understand what to give, for instance, when it comes to such districts as Pozняки, Dreyeshina, and other neighborhoods, and these are the questions we may raise. And according to this data, what we should do? Well, I'm gonna add some things to my colleague mentioned, and we generate this data in order to put it if we put this data on self-government pages, it's hard to find them. And for instance, Chernihiv City may be the pilot project. And answering your first question, of course, we have lack of data in terms of railways, and we don't know when the autobus transport finalizes. When it comes to international transportations and bus stations. So the approach may be a little bit different. Good afternoon, good morning, dear participants. I'm truly happy to participate in this event and answering your questions. What are the things missing? It's necessary to underline that it's only the beginning, and according to our data, it's about the beginning, and the transport data hub is gonna work fully and properly when we add other types of transport beyond the buses, and these are the rich data all the people can use. Good morning, everyone. First of all, the value of the data is reflected only when we synthesize different data from different resources. And of course, what we mentioned pretty much, of course, the car stations, and we do understand that their openness and conditions are not the best. So this is what we need. And also, I agree with all the things. So, Andrei, let's start by you. The first question to you, which are the transport policies and solutions formulated lastly on base of the data? Well, let me start by saying what is the data hub. It's not only about the data collocated somewhere, it's about the idea Sergei mentioned in the very beginning, and we are gonna integrate anything with it, joining and combining all the data and having our own efforts and using the support of partners and business, which let us have an open data making. And the idea is pretty similar to Data Hub. It's not a new idea, but our task, our fundamental task, is to have a good quality of data, good community. Yes, because it changes fastly, and it's necessary to country to be the same, even though the professionals change according to the decisions made according to the data. I know that still the percentage of the change of the approaches when it came to the crossing of the borders and the usage of the systems. These are the basic things. And you mentioned the electronic line, and we have an anniversary of this. So when we learned about it, it was about huge progress when it came to the autobus transport, which is the main conclusion we made on basis of these processes, and which are the bad practices we could avoid. Yes, of course, the electronic line had its anniversary, And thanks to these systems, we conducted more than 2 million of cases of crossing of the borders when the border was crossed. And of course, we could see, oh well, again, using the analytics, we realized that something was happening. And as a person which was not professional, well, I thought it's so cool to see free roads, but still, the first thing is the absence of desire to come before the weekend starts. Of course, all the people want to have the weekend, and of course, we have certain limitation when it comes to cargo transports. And what happened to the system before the weekend came? Of course, the people who should go, of course, changed the track. And first of all, we tried to make a simple thing, optimizing the calculation of the time and seeing the things happening with a better calculation of time. But it didn't help because it's a very massive phenomenon, and we had to use certain limitation within the system, and how often to do it. And of course, we have certain patterns when it comes to the time of expectation or waiting in the crossing point. Of course, when it comes to weekend time and the priority, and many people even seen that there are more people, and still considering that this person may use the electronic services. All of these things are calculated. And another important case is about the preservation of the control and the governments. And of course, we have some force majeure cases for certain categories of transport, and we may inform on a dynamic basis to our operators which crossing points are faster and better. So let's pass to you, because the project of international technical assistance we mentioned today, such as UK, Egypt, launching the digital solutions for digital development, but still very often we getting confused between electronic services and digital transformation. So which data are used and how to combine all of the things? Thank you so much for your question. Well, of course, during years and dozens of years and decades, we are on the track of digital transformation, and on this track we may see lots of examples of digital projects, and each it's one of the examples. And when our public servants make the question which are the most important things, the other electronic services or work with the data, as for me this dilemma is not a correct dilemma, because these services cannot exist separately. First of all, we create electronic services, and then on basis of this services we create values, the dashboard, the analysis, and the data integration. And when we work with the data, it's critically important to understand that it's about the beginning of decision making. So there are no electronic services, and no successful reforms can be successful when it when we do not take decision. And we communicate with deputy ministers, and when we talk about donor funds, it's difficult to explain why the work with the data should be funded, because it's difficult to understand. Well, I am a user and I know how to use this data, but it's really difficult to make understand why it's so important to develop this. And it's difficult to explain it to donors or to self-government. It depends on the interest on the of the country, for instance, deputy ministers, because after all, this database decision making is not very popular here, and the state is not very connected with this thing. So let me say that it's worthy thing to fund this thing, but understand a priori that this are the investment in the infrastructure producing the data. So it's very continuous story, and we do consider that the state not always make the decision according to the data. And according to your experience, which are the disadvantages? The absence of the service, the lack of the data, or emptiness, or the absence of the culture of usage of the data?
Another good question. Well, resources are always limited. Skills sometimes are inadequate, but as the more global problem is, electronic services are created, dashboards are developed, you can find a lot of analytical data, but quite some time they are like a nice image to look at. It's rarely used in practice, and therefore questions have to be asked in lights on data. So Transport Data Hub is not yet another presentation. It's about the data-driven decision-making drive. So to speak, Valery, you are in charge of safety in the area of transportation. So this hub, transport data hub, how much will it contribute to improving the safety of passengers? Let's go back to the origins. Yes, data comes first, and then comes all the rest. When the passenger uses one-stop shop to buy himself a ticket, and the carriers, legalized carriers do the same. The passenger will know for sure that he'll be taking from point A to B rather than had to disembark the bus somewhere in the mid-road. So that's safety for passengers. Passengers have trust in a service. The government shows us data, makes them open to them. And carriers, do they do the same? Are they ready to open all the data? It's a gentleman's agreement of kind. Well, if anyone wants to be a carrier, a legal carrier, they have no other option. Well, they can try to act in the informal economy, but this won't last long. By opening their data, carriers improve the market. Well, I noted what you said about opening the data. We started working with your service and with the ministry a couple of years ago. It started with EQ, and there's something going on under the hood. You can say we audited our data, we opened a couple of data sets, and what I find ideologically appealing with Transport Data Hub is that the data now is open for everyone. And there is no asymmetrical access to information. The government doesn't sell this data or doesn't make them confidential. It's not just data sets, but real-time accessibility. You can use an API and then trace what licenses have been issued, what international routes have been created, and this can be used not only for the sake of passengers, but for large carriers who have extensive fleet of vehicles. Thank you. Alexander. I hear you have started the presentation of your pilot carried out at Chernihiv. As far as I can see, your local, so to speak, objective is to be able to track the number of passengers who are eligible for discount fares. So is that already working? And yeah, it was me. In Chernihiv, it's a public service obligation already, not just discount fare. We remunerate the carriers for having so many passengers after the city was, free once again. After the siege, we decided to use data based on electronic ticket, electronic fare, which only worked in public transit. But we then started building a new network of routes to help people commute to Chernihiv, to travel to hospitals, for instance, and to otherwise encourage return of population, because only 60,000 remained in Chernihiv. Now we have 270, 280. So our primary goal was good, adequate public transportation. Relevant documents were developed, and as a result, the department calculates how much it owes the carriers, and this seems to be a pretty viable solution in smaller communities like Chernihiv. Well, okay, Chernihiv, in your definition, is a smaller community. How can you replicate it to bigger ones? Well, it all starts from the first step. When you were introducing it in Chernihiv, did you feel any resistance? Come on, private carriers always start with offering some resistance. Problem is that public transportation in the city was degraded, and you can see what happens to all those minivans carrying passengers in bigger communities, it was extremely difficult to convince the private carriers that e-ticket is a win-win for carriers, passengers, and the municipality. Well, of course, passengers benefit by flexibility of fare, plus the city has now introduced 30-minute ticket that can be used in all means of transportation. Before the full-scale invasion, there existed about 40 carriers per 28 routes. The fleet was up to 300 vehicles, smaller minivans. Now, there are 13 bus routes with 90 big-size buses that carry many more passengers than before the war. So it's an advantage to carriers, to passengers, and to the municipality, apart from the encouragement of the refugees to return. Well, municipalities are interested in delivering quality services to the residents. Transportation is top of priorities. If you hear someone say, look, I parked my car outside the city and then took public transportation. To you, Valery, mobility and use of public transportation for me started from the option to pay using your card rather than pay cash. You are a representative of the MasterCard, the system that must have lots of data on the consumer preferences on public transit that are most popular amongst the traveling public. So this data, do you think that in the future they can help build information awareness, so to speak, of the players, and would using this data generated by MasterCard contradict the banking confidentiality, banking secrecy rules? Okay, we may recall that the first instance when a bank card could be used to pay a fare in public transit was in Kiev, Kiev subway. We provided at least one turnstile at each station that you can go through paying with your card. So Kiev was amongst top 5 cities of the world, alongside New York City or London, where passengers could do that. Not a bad achievement. 10 years have elapsed, and the exemplary cities like Chernihiv. How many cities provide the ability to pay with their credit cards in public transportation? Sadovin, Lviv, Kiev, yes, for sure. 10. There are 10 big municipalities, subway, Kiev, Kharkiv, Dnipro. Well, Kharkiv, it's free of charge, but the technology is in place. And all other cities extended this option to all land transportation, Privat, Shad, all payment systems present in Ukraine joined, but we only managed to promote that in only 10 cities so far. I myself travel to different municipalities advocating for this idea, but as soon as private carriers join the discussion. Everything like that disappeared. Even in Kiev, I can ask the Ukraine's biggest city, its capital, where you have all this technology in place. You can't pay electronically in those marshrutkas. Well, have you heard of any other city where marshrutkas? In Mukachevo, if my memory serves me right, the city hall decided that all fare would be cashless, and no problems there. Now, second part of your question regarding the stats. In order to be able to use it, you need to request it. In 10 years, we have received 1 or 2 such requests. Stats on the carriage of passengers throughout the cities. And who requested that information? Municipalities, Kiev Metropolitan Company, whom we have worked very fruitfully. So, second of all, you have to know how to work with the stats. It's not just stats, it's business analytics. And of course, we don't risk disclosing any banking secrecy. All the data we supply are anonymized, depersonalized. We never tell that Mr. So-and-so traveled from Obolon to Trieste. No, we just give data that aren't have no risk to banking secrecy. So we are open, we are ready, we have signed digital country partnership with the government and standing by. And the requests, are they free of charge? No, at least as far as the government is concerned, yes. We are working very actively with the Ministry of Development to promote cases similar to Ukrzaliznytsia. If you use the app, you will see that it was created with our support, with MasterCard support, and we will certainly support the operation of this service by providing financial assistance and then some other things. So we are open, we are ready, but as far as I am concerned, for the government to be able to use this data, to access this data, it should take some appropriate steps. Say 15 years ago, a decision was made that every outlet should have at least one POS. Same should apply to carriers. If you want to stay in the community of carriers, make sure that passengers can pay cashless. And next step.
Well, Valery, with all the respect to the things conducted by MasterCard, I have the question, which are the figures you have? Well, by the grace of God, we are not a monopolist company and we don't need such figures, and I'm not gonna talk about all the market, but for some reason I think that nobody will contradict to our country when it comes to banks or other payment systems registered in the country. Thank you so much. I wanted to ask if you have any questions to our participants. Yes, sure. Yes, I'll share the microphone with you. Good morning. I want to know, in terms of security data, which times are calculated when it comes to public transportation, when it comes to the gap between different transportations, between different small cities, without considering the time. That's time it considers the normative speed limit respected by the drivers, or you should appeal to this time already calculated with the maximum speed limit. When answering to your question, we should share it in two parts. Well, some historic data we have, and the data we had during the inauguration of new track. Well, it comes 100% to the regular normal regulations, and we have a corresponding blocker when we put the information data when it comes to the speed limit of 90 kilometers per hour, and it may be verified by the Minister of Transport when it comes to such transportation. Thank you. Good morning, Yulia Lisovska. Please tell me if in 2026 we may hope that in the data statistic we may see the people with perks, the participants of hostilities, and so on. It's quite a good and big question. Yes, it's a question related to the creation of centralized tool accumulating all the data, and we already have a corresponding legislative base prepared, and now we are working on the creation of the concept of this tool, and also we are looking for funds, and of course it's a little bit early to say that it's going to be in format of open data. And another question. It's a good question. To be honest, let me explain briefly and provide a comment. The last Thursday, the committee, the Parliament Committee of Social Policy approved during the second reading the rules of the payment of transportation for all the people with perks, and the key changes are very cool because every transportation should be paid, even by a person with perks. And people with perks should have a special card only for the special transportations, and who charge this cards. Some of the categories should be filled by the means of a budget, and the local government and state government should define this amount of money put in this card, and of course the city are already on this limit because, for instance, in Europe there is no limitless perks for transportation because it's impossible from the point of view of a business, from the physical point of view too, and which is critically important as for today is that today this law obligates all the people have and all the carriers to have the automatic payment system, and who is interested, please support us to work and to talk to our popular deputies about the importance. And it's very important story because every carrier and every car should have this system to payment, because in theory they can pay in cash, but still they should have a ticket, electronic or paper. This is about your question about the data. We should have the data about all the tickets in Ukraine, so it will be a very cool case, and I want to make such a presentation after a certain period of time in Chernihiv or in some other city, but I want all the Ukraine to be in this database with this data regarding the number of transportation, about all the types of transport and all the journeys, and other data because it's huge challenge for the state and for the territorial communities. And I want to add, if you are interested when it terms about when it comes to paid and unpaid transportation, that 10% of the people with perks are the participants of hostilities, and other categories of people with perks who do not pay. And what about children? Which children? Well, school children. Well, school children pay 5 now. Well, thank you. Other questions? Thank you so much for the dialogue. Thanks to all the participants. Sergey, thank you for the presentation, and thanks to all the partners, to ministry and representatives of the Embassy of Great Britain to Ukraine, and to be continued, as they say. So please, let's talk again and again during the coffee break. And well, Mimi, consider that we finished our event. Thank you so much.